have you ever seen a Medea movie? They're all made by the same guy, Tyler Perry. Have you ever seen House of Pain, Meet the Browns? I think these are all Tyler Perry series. My first introduction was House of Pain on TBS. I watched it a lot as a kid, and I never liked it, but I watched it. There was 2 good episodes, probably. Occasionally, it would be a more heart-strung, episode that got me a little, but I was also 7. Yeah, so that's what I watched a lot as a child. And I've seen probably 3 Medea movies. I saw Boo, a Medea Halloween, in theaters with a coworker, and he loved it. He was laughing at every joke. And I'm like, good, I'm glad somebody's having fun here. Because I didn't think it was the worst film ever, but it was terrible. At least in my opinion. If you like a Medea movie, cool. More power to you. But I did not. He also has done quite a few more dramatic ones, especially in the last couple years. Acrimony, I believe it's called, came out last year. Nobody saw it. Nobody really liked it. I didn't see it because nobody did. And it looks like because of that, he's just you know what? I'm just going to make a movie for Netflix. And that came out today. I didn't know about it. I woke up and I'm like, at least I don't have to watch any bad movies today. And then I'm like, what's this? Netflix? It released a new movie. Oh, great. What is it? And the title is A Fall from Grace. And then I'm like, well, that sounds kind of silly. Is it going to be some religious film? And then I'm like, directed by Tyler Perry. This is going to be a thrill ride. I was expecting to like it a little more than a Medea movie because I don't like any of the humor in Medea films usually. So if it was just this straight serious film, maybe I would enjoy it more. I did not. Remember how yesterday I said, hey, Doolittle's really, really bad. So most likely I won't have to see another movie worse than it. For quite a while for this year. I think Tyler Perry heard me because this movie is dreadful. I don't think it's quite as bad as Doolittle, but it's fucking terrible. Here's a retake because those other 2 takes were awful. Let's talk about 2 things in the movie I actually liked. There were 2 performances I thought were maybe not the greatest thing ever, but they were much better than anything else. Brescia Webb, I'm not sure her name. She plays Jasmine, who's the main character of the film. She's playing a lawyer that's defending Grace Waters, who is played by Crystal Fox, who does a terrible performance. Sorry. I think it's mostly the script. The script's really, really bad, but we'll get to that. Grace Waters is on trial, or going to trial, for the murder of her husband. But did she really do it? Were there different circumstances? What's going on? That's the whole premise of the movie. It's very, very predictable and very, very, very dumb. But the woman who plays Jasmine, Brescia Webb, the lawyer, she's pretty good in it. There's still some times where the fucking terrible dialogue written really just overwhelms her, and there's some bad performances, but comparatively, she does a great job. And the only other performance I actually liked in it was this guy named Mehcad Brooks, who plays Shannon, who is the husband that dies. This film plays a lot with flashbacks, which are all badly done. It's great. Just most of the movie. No, all of the movie's badly done. Also, there's nothing worse than a bad flashback. Flashbacks can be used for some really, really powerful storytelling. Or they can be the worst thing ever. And this would be the latter of those 2 options. But Mehcad Brooks as Shannon has some great delivery and a lot of his dialogue, and he has like a presence that most of the other actors don't have. Some of the worst performances in the film. Tyler Perry plays a guy named Rory, and Tyler Perry's not bad as a dramatic actor in the couple things I've seen him in, but I guess he just shouldn't write for himself because it's the worst. At one point he talks about how millennials suck. I'm just like, great. I love hearing about this in every movie he makes. It's great. I do not like Tyler Perry. I think he's kind of an asshole. I said it. What are you going to do? Tyler Perry, let's go. Put me in your movie then. Come on. Let's go. Boo 3. Felicia Rashad, she plays Sarah, which is Grace's best friend in the film. And I've seen her in other things, and she's been pretty good in those other things. She was not good in this. Pretty much everyone else was not good in this. But we'll get on to why soon. It has to do with Tyler Perry being a bad director and writer. And Jesus Christ, this movie is bad. The opening scene of the film is a woman being talked off a rooftop suicide. She's going to jump off from, I think, a 2-story house, which probably wouldn't kill you. Like, I know she was old, but it's just kind of ill planning on her part. And then we're introduced to our main characters, and they're all badly written. They're all really, really boring. This movie, at its heart, is predictable. If you're paying attention to any of the early scenes, you'll know what happens. Maybe not to the extent, but you'll be like, I see what you're doing. Tyler Perry tries to insert a twist in it, a couple twists, and they don't work at all. Instead, we get generic, bland characters being forced into scenes and sequences that have been done thousands of times before, way, way better. The best example of this is the courtroom scenes. Later on in the film, they do end up going to court. Spoiler, this 2-hour-long movie does not end in like 10 minutes, which I wish it did. They end up going to court, and the main character, Jasmine, has never been to court before, so she's very bad. But even worse, they cut a bunch. They cut to a bunch of people taking the stand, and then just start yelling stuff like objection and sustained and overruled and move to strike, but with no meaning because you don't see any of the context around this. They just want you to know that there's a courtroom scene happening without actually writing anything for it, except the beginning and the end. Which is really unfortunate because long courtroom dramas and scenes and sequences can be the very best in a film, like in film. The Attorney, starring Song Kang-ho from South Korea, is a fantastic movie. Great movie. Wonderful performance. And most of it is in a court. The Insult I watched for our podcast recently about a native Lebanese man in Lebanon suing a Palestinian refugee. That's a great movie as well. These movies are great. 12 Angry Men, which is about a jury, watching a court case right at the beginning, the court case ends, and then them deliberating in the back room, is one of the greatest films of all time. This movie is not that. It doesn't know how to balance the drama of a courtroom scene, and it doesn't know how to write characters that can argue well. The prosecution on the side, the prosecuting side, is just as bad, but they just keep saying, oh, she sucks, she's a novice, but none of their arguments make sense, and it's just filled with terrible, terrible dialogue and writing. It's unfortunate because, like I said, there are actors in this that I have seen in good things, and I do think are good actors. They're just terrible in this because the dialogue doesn't grant them any room to act, really. Most of it feels flat, like the writing was written by a computer who does not know what emotion is, which is silly because I know Tyler Perry is not an android. I know he's a person, but it's just the whole film seems so apathetic in its approach of the justice system and of like people's strife, which is so weird because the film's core are about those ideals. It's kind of fascinating to watch in a way that something can take on so many themes badly and be so apathetic in its approach. The editing is all over the place in this film. It rushes through some scenes so quickly to the point that even if they have like a huge meaning in the narrative, by the end of it, they had rushed past it so quickly that they'd edited it together so bizarrely that it means nothing. Most of the scenes that the film depends on mean nothing by the end of those scenes because the pacing of them was bad and the editing was even worse. It might just be the way they shot it that, like, the only way to edit it was this way, but it was bad. The same could be said about the cinematography. Most of them looked like high school videographer status, which isn't to say that high schoolers are dumb or anything. I've seen some great high school student films. I would say intro to video freshman year. He's just doing it because he heard it was an easy class. His parents have been really hard on him recently. He wants to do good his freshman year. He wants to make a good impression. He's already taking classes that he thinks will stress him out. So he's taking this intro to videography class so that he doesn't, freak out and lose it because high school is very stressful and he just wants his parents to be proud of him, but he doesn't want to actually do the work, which is, reasonable. So he's just sitting in the back of the class, not really paying attention. And then he has to like throw together a video with some of his group and his group members are doing most of the work, but they're like, hey, can you do this one shot, please? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll try. That's the whole movie. It looks like that one scene that this high school videographer does, if he did the whole movie. And it's not just the way that it's shot, it's the way that it's framed. The whole framing of every scene, they could have gotten much, much better sets, much, much better places to film, but instead it looks bad. The film tries to mimic those great courtroom dramas, but it also tries to mimic, things like horror films like Don't Breathe, which you'll understand why if you watch this movie, which I don't recommend. There's the twists in it. Just pay attention to the first 20 minutes and just don't forget about that, because the way this twist works is pretty much they'll introduce what it is 20 minutes in, and then they'll forget about it. They won't remind you about it. They won't put any more hints, but they'll pretend they did. They'll be like, we said that one word. That was a hint. But it doesn't work because you need to remind a good twist. You don't want to see it coming, but you want to be reminded of it. You want to be able to look upon it on a rewatch and go, whoa, all these clues were here the entire time. Great twist in the movie Searching. There's some really, really great hints in that movie. I've seen that movie 4 times now. That movie's fucking full of hints that on my second, third, and fourth watch, I'm still seeing new stuff. Go watch that movie. That movie's fantastic. This movie has like 2 hints right at the beginning, and I got the twist. I'm like, it's going to be this. I even wrote it down. I'm like, it's going to be this, but I knew I was going to forget about it because that's how they were framing it. They're going to be like, if we just introduce the twist and then go completely against these characters, like this first interaction, it'll be fine. They'll forget about it. But then, when the twist happens, they'll be like, oh, I never thought about it. But we did. We did, Tyler Perry. So fuck you. Probably my least favorite part of this film was the composition, though. The music was all strings, like high strings, which isn't a bad thing, but they all blended together. They were all super generic to the point that it feels like you would get like a new electric keyboard and it would be like a preset beat that it's just like a violin section. It wasn't bad, but most of them didn't fit with the scenes very well. Most of them were overly like dramatic for scenes that did not warrant it. It just didn't fit. Most of the film doesn't fit together. Especially because there's 3 distinct films in this movie, all bad, and then they just kind of shove it together, and they'll be like, it'll work this way, it'll be fine. It's easy. It doesn't work. The characters are bad, the composition is bad, the cinematography is bad, the editing is bad, kind of like one of my videos. That bad, yeah. It's like if I edited it. And I'm not a professional editor, believe it or not. It's on Netflix. I won't fault you if you watch it. I won't fault anyone for watching anything. If you watch it, tell me what you thought of it. You probably didn't hate it as much as me, because I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. Here's my ranking list on screen now. As you can see, it goes right above Doolittle, and that's not... It's barely above Doolittle. I was sitting here for like 10 minutes before I recorded this, trying to figure out if I thought this was better than Doolittle. And it is, but just barely. Probably because of those 2 performances that were pretty decent. In Doolittle, there was one, and it was Kumail Nanjiani. But, like I said, if you saw Fall from Grace, tell me what you thought of the film. Let me know. Did you enjoy it? What was your favorite part? If you like any Tyler Perry movies, let me know which ones, because I would like to see something good from him. I haven't seen a ton. I've only seen a couple Madea movies, but if there's something great, let me know. I've heard some pretty good things about his play work, like his stage work. And let me know what your favorite movie is if you've got one and you haven't told me. And if you have a chance, please like it. Please comment this video. Please subscribe. It helps us out immensely. And as always, please, for the love of God, tell your grandma. Anyway, I'm London. Bye.